Hello Internet, I thought I'd do a quick follow-up on the video from last week in which I asked you, what is it about a wildlife photograph, wildlife image, that stops you on social media and makes you like, comment or share that image? Now, almost without fail, every single person brought it back to emotion and mood and the story that image tells, the way it engages them, the way it holds their attention and has an impact on them, emotion and mood. Now, thanks a lot for all the comments. It was awesome to see the discussion. Fantastic. Love that. But I thought we'd take it a step further and see if we can figure something out. Try this on for me. Do you think that we can see wildlife photography on a continuum, the type of images that we create? If we place something like photojournalism, wildlife conservation photojournalism, on the one end of the spectrum, on the other end of the spectrum you create wildlife art where you Photoshop the hell out of it in a good way, and you create prints and art, which is not a direct representation of the world you saw and photographed, but rather your interpretation as a photographer. And in the middle, you have the natural documentary type photography, which is you shoot what you see and you shoot it well. So, creating emotion and a mood when you have human influence, whether it is some person working on a lion that they've darted in order to do some conservation work, or a rhino, whether it is, there was one of the images that was shown over the weekend, which I think was part of the top 50 wildlife images of the last decade or something, was an image with a gorilla head on a table with bananas next to it, which highlighted the highlighted the bush meat trade. Horrible, but is it emotive? Absolutely. So when you can include human influences in an image, whether it, like I said, whether a lion, whether the results of what humans do, which is sometimes despicable to nature, that's one way to create emotion. Yes. On the flip side of the scale, if we look at the fine art side of it, where we create our own versions of nature, there we create emotion through the use of color, black and white, sepia, the contrast we include. So we're manipulating the real world in our images to create our interpretation thereof. And that's where the emotion is created, is how I present that scene. Then, what you also will find in the middle is you can only shoot what you see. So if you're shooting wildlife, I think I kind of see myself there, where I just shoot wildlife, what I see. I try and do it well, like we all do. But is the emotion in that case influenced more by the subject and subject matter that I'm looking at, or is it more created by the way I photograph and process the image? Because in this middle scene, I don't want to over or under process. I want to give you a natural look, a natural documentary image that reflects the real world. Include humans in your images, very emotive, either for good or bad, but still there's a message. Shoot what you see, and where does the emotion come from? Is it from the subject, the photographer, or a bit of both? And on the flip side of the scale is where you have the I don't want to say Photoshop, but the wild art prints that we make. Yes? A representation that I see the world, and I'm going to try and raise an emotion through my stories and the way I process the images. What do you think? So the question this time I'm going to ask you, which picks up from the emotion that you guys threw out there, is, do you think that you can create emotion in all three types of images? Let's stick with those two for now. Photojournalism, wildlife photojournalism, natural documentary type shots which shows nature as it is, and in your wildlife prints and fine art. And if so, how do you do it? I look forward to hearing your answers on this one. Bit of thinking, but let's see how it goes. My name is Jerry. I'm from Wild Eye. I will see you guys next time.